Hello, I am Bentham and welcome back to Production Line, where in the previous episode I set up this basic car assembly area here, and at the end of the episode I said that I might just try and do all the science in between episodes. So I did. This is 100 research labs. And after quite a while of just sitting here waiting for them to do the thing, we now have all the research done. So we can just get on with building the rest of the factory and not worry about getting all the science done. And this factory, was more than enough to sustain these 100. It got a little bit hairy once they got to the full 100. The number didn't go up very much. You can see it was a bit all over the place. Every time it jumped down was because I bought another 20 of them or whatever. But overall the money stayed pretty stable, and this has gone crazy because for some reason we get charged a bunch of money every other hour, I think. I guess for the labs, maybe for other stuff, so shoot about all over the place. But overall, we made a profit, so that's nice. Right, now we get to sell all this stuff, which is nice because I spent a lot of money on these and we get half of it back. So at the moment, we're at 1 million. And now I was hoping I could just click and drag, but I don't think it's a thing. So I'll just individually run along the lines, and we can use all the money we get from selling these to start working on the expanded factory and getting a much better bit of production going. There we go. Yep, that gave us over 2 million. So it must have cost about 4 million to build all those in the first place. So yeah, that is sort of a problem with this game, that you literally just once you built a functional factory that makes a profit, then all you have to do is wait and you'll get more money, and then you can spend that money on something once you're bored of waiting, basically. So you can just be okay, now I'm going to do all the research. If it wasn't for the fact that you had to click every time you started a new research, you could just walk away while all that was going on. And yeah, if I wanted to build if I want to fill this entire stuff with factories, I could just sit here for hours until we've got 1 billion, and then I could just happily go about my business building the entire production line without even having anything in the middle anymore. And I'll just never run out of money before I've actually got the thing built. So that could do with some work, but then maybe it's just a thing of, well, you can ignore that and just focus on the actual process of building the factory. That is sort of what it's about at the end of the day. Depends on whether you want it to be a challenge or not. So, we're rich. We got loads of money coming in because, because of all the science labs I had, I was paying all the guys and getting, and that was sort of using look at that, from us selling it. But our money, actually, it went down a bit there for whatever reason. Oh no, it's because it doesn't count it until the hour ticks over. It just doesn't, it just counts initial rent, I think, and stuff. There we go, the hour ticked over. I've realized that you have to close and open the window for this particular window to refresh, whereas this one will refresh in real time. And he's still dropping. It's a bit weird. Oh, we're not selling cars anymore. What? We never went above 20 while I was getting on with all the research. Now all of a sudden nobody wants to buy a car anymore. The thing has gone up. What's this about? Put it back down to 50%. Can I even get it to exactly 50 now? Keep losing the control of the button. It's like every time a car sells or something. Yeah, we can't do 50% anymore. What is that about? Well, there we go. We just sold them all because we dropped down to a more reasonable price. Yeah, I don't know what that was about. But now, once the hour ticks over in a minute, we'll see. I imagine that there's a whole bunch of profit, because now we're at an all-time low for cars, pretty much. It never went below 10 when I was working on the research, but now we're slightly below 50%. That might be having an effect on things. Except now it's gone over 50% again. So yeah, the prices are just being changed. But there we go. Money's coming in. I mean, that was from the big spike of sales, but that's our overall line that we can use there. So yeah, loads of money coming in, and we can use this to fund the construction of our new, bigger factory. So we've got to work out how we're going to divide up all these sections, because the idea is that each of these sections will have some particular role in production. So I'll try and make it relate to the size of them relative to the size of the area. I mean, my idea is that I'm going to divide up the different stages of production in the same way as they're divided up initially. So I'll have one section that has all the chassis assembly stuff, one section with all the body assembly stuff. There's no real reason to do that, as far as I can tell, apart from it'll look nice in terms of colours when you zoomed out, because it'll all match up. I think other than that, you can just split it up however you like it, and try and make things efficient that way. But I think I'm going to be thematic, and I'm going to split it up between different stages of production. So I've got to get used to having a microphone that's just sat on my desk now, because previously with a headset I could move my head wherever I liked and you could still hear me the same way, but I've got to turn my head now to look at my my spreadsheet on the other screen, and remember to not just like leave the microphone behind. So yeah, the biggest section I think is probably body assembly, though paint is an important one as well. There's sort of a sort of secret one, because it seems like there's only 4 stations involved. It's the smallest sort of set of stations, but you need so many of them to do anything. It's like, if I want to make 1 car per 2 in-game minutes, then I will need 6 dry undercoat stations and 7 dry finish stations, whereas nothing else goes above like 3 in any of the other sections. So that's something to keep an eye on. We'll have to work out some fancy system with that. That there's the curving round probably that I used with the previous factory. I was quite proud of them in the end. It worked out quite well. Though if I'd had a little bit more room, I could have made it a little bit more space efficient. I ended up making a bit of a mess of it towards the end. But the more you scale up, the more that sort of thing works nicely. So like, basically on the spreadsheet that I've got, I've put in a couple of different columns for the different rates of car production. So we've got every 2 minutes, every 90 seconds, every 60 seconds, and every 30 seconds. Every 30 seconds is basically the equivalent of a car per second before they changed it, before the one developer, changed how the numbers work to be minutes and seconds instead of real-time seconds. So that's a nice goal to have, but the thing about that is that dry undercoat stations, you need 21 of them. And dry finish stations, 25. So that's quite a lot. I mean, everything else, there's similar stuff like steering wheels. You need 11 steering wheel fitting stations and stuff like that. So that's the goal we're working towards at the moment. I think initially what I'll do is I'll build like something that makes a car every 2 minutes. And then I'll just make sure that there's room for expansion everywhere. And then I'll start expanding it and just adding in extra production, integrating in manufacture the components and so on. But that's what we'll start with. We'll start with aiming for something every 2 minutes. So I think what I might do is have the chassis assembly here, because this is actually quite a small one. I only need 6 stations total. Oh no, it's the wrong column. It's 7 stations total. 8 stations total, I can count. Though if I want a car every 30 seconds, then it is 26 stations, which... it's a bit much. Maybe not, actually. I need to get used to the size of these squares. They're actually quite small, so there's a lot you can fit in here. But I've got to remember that the manufacture stuff can be quite difficult, because you can need more manufacture stations than you need actual fitting stations. That makes a lot of sense, really, because it takes longer to make a thing than to put it on a car. So I haven't done any ratios for that yet, because I didn't build them in my previous factory. I used my previous factory to work out the times that you could get for all the stations. And seeing as we didn't have manufacturing stuff then, I didn't put that in. But could be an issue for us. It could turn out that I'll have to overhaul a lot of stuff. But I'm thinking chassis assembly here. Maybe we could do some of it here if we end up like overflowing and need a bit more room. It'll be a bit awkward having like going around like that. But I mean, we can expand it into the main section if we start to struggle too much. I think this should be like where we assemble the body stuff. There's a lot going on with that. And this will probably be more than enough room for that. Then painting, we could try doing it here. I don't know about how it'll work with having a really long, thin section of factory, but I think that'll be okay. Next up would be... is it engine stuff after that? Yeah, engine stuff can go in here. That should be okay. There's not a huge amount of stuff there. Then we have... next one is accessories. Now, I might just combine accessories. Actually, no, there's a lot of... what are the other bits? Accessories and electronics, is that it? I guess all the remaining stuff is electronic. Yeah, we could do... I mean, we could put accessories in here. This weird bit that's really awkward, and I wish it would, like, connect up to that, because that'll make things so much easier. And then finally have the last step here, the electronic stuff. Then we have the issue of if we want to make a car per 30 seconds, we need 7 export stations. I mean, there's enough around, but not in one place. We've got 2 there, and 1 there. 1 more there, and another one there. That gets us to 5. We need 2 more. There's 1 up there, maybe. There's 1 over there, but that's awkward. Yeah, finding enough export stations is going to be really difficult towards the end. There's going to be belts going all over the place. There's 2 here, there's 1 there. I'm trying to find just, like, any particular area where there's 7. Relatively close, all accessible. There's 3 right here. But then there's nothing until you get right back to here. There's 2 here. Yeah, that's awkward. We might even have... Yeah, we'll be sending cars all over the place at the end. And there's all sorts of issues with that on account of the fact that you can't have belts cross over, as far as I know. And so we have to really pay attention to that, otherwise we'll shoot ourselves in the foot before we've even started. Which is why I've spent half this episode just looking at spreadsheets and belts. Not belts, spreadsheets and the factory plans. Because once I start putting things down, I might already be making, like, mistakes that'll come to bite me later. And I factored in all the upgrades and stuff as well with the stations. Like, it's 7 upgraded export stations that will be required to sell a car every 30 seconds. And that's 30 in-game seconds, which is 1 out-of-game second, roughly, I believe. Having 4 around here is nice. Well, 5 around here is nice. If we have, like, the output ends up being over here somewhere, and then we have it split off that way, and that goes up there, and then splits off this way and goes into these 3. Then maybe we can have a belt carry on all the way to here? I don't know. It's difficult. It's a problem with the... Like, there's 5 here, which is close to what we need, but then there's nothing for quite a while. We have to go all the way over to, like, here, to, like, these 2. That's not happening. There's going to be stuff here. This is going to... I'm thinking this is going to be the painting area. Or was it this that's a painting? Losing track now. And there's 3 over here, but then there's nothing till you get over here. And that's still not enough. You'd have to go down here as well. In this one, there's 2 here, 1 there. That's... they're a bit close together. 2 more down there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... Okay, so... In this area, there's 7. Maybe that... The belt crossing over problem is the big thing, because it's like, there'll be a big section of factory here. So, like, if the output's over here, gotta go all the way back round here and round this line. Doable, but I have to make sure to plan it well in advance. So maybe this being, like, the size that it is, this could be for accessories and electronics. Then the one before that is engine. Engine could be here. It's a bit cramped. But again, we can make use of some of this section as well. Then here. That should work for paint. That's a pretty spacious section. So that would be paint. Then these 2... These 2 could make up all the body stuff. That would be a long, thin assembly section. So this is not unreasonable. It's maybe a bit too thin here. Could cause some issues. Like, there's the vent station when you're making a car every second requires 10 of them. It's a bit further down the line, so hopefully that'll be in this area. Maybe that could make use of this section here. And then this point here would be the chassis assembly. I think that's what we'll go with then. And then when it's gone all the way around all these sections and arrived here, we can export to these 4 and then go around the back of here and export to these 3. And just make sure to keep some space clear around the edges of these walls and everything should be fine. Alright, let's go. We've only got like 5 minutes of the episode left, but I've decided what we're doing. Let's start buying sections and hope they're not too expensive. That is a thing. We might end up running into the same issue as I was worried about before, where the main factory isn't... Well, no, we didn't run into it in the end in the initial factory. That the main production line isn't enough anymore, and then suddenly we have to quickly cobble together the remaining sections before we run out of money. But then we'll have the issue of we'll have to rent more areas to build those sections unless we just quickly spam it down in this section here in a panic and get it roughly working. Alright, I don't need this bit here. Let's just buy this bit. This is $10 per square meter, so that's a lot of money. But we've got 6 million in the bank, so we'll probably be okay. So this one being quite long is, I think, quite convenient. Right, what do we need? We need front axle, rear axle, drive shaft, undercarriage, and fuel tank. Let's get this menu up. I had it hidden, so you couldn't see initially that I'd done all the research. And I guess it's weird, these things, they're not researched, and it says they haven't been researched, and I think I even saw them in an early video by the developer. Not 100% sure about that, it might have been in a trailer or a screenshot or something. But it just seems that these aren't in the game at the moment, but they've just been left as icons. But yeah, they're not a thing. Because we didn't have it in the last factory, we had everything unlocked there apart from a couple of assembly sections. But yeah, I guess I don't know what the QA office would do. Would it just speed up the QA, like, areas? Or would it have some other sort of impact on, like, how well tested the things were? Maybe it allowed upgrade... I don't know. Maybe it's not got a role anymore and it's just a sort of thing from earlier that's no longer relevant. The marketing department makes a lot of sense because it'll be like, you can sell your cars for a higher price because they're marketed better, sort of thing. And then you got to trade off between putting extra money into the marketing budget and getting extra money out of selling more cars and that sort of thing. Yeah, there's nothing else that's still grayed out. So anyway, chassis assembly. Separate it out into all the bits. Let's have a look at this stuff. Okay, so the ratio between assembling and fitting, about the same. And I'm guessing you only fit one fuel tank per car, so that should be okay. So maybe this stuff won't be too bad, though. The axles you fit, like, multiple. And this... We'll have a test of it. We'll get the assembly running first, and then we'll start putting together the manufacturing and see if that works out. We'll only be putting in a basic thing anyway, so we'll not be spending loads of money initially. So, let's see. To make one every 2 minutes, we need 2 of these, 2 of these. So, just plunk them down. Just pick a corner. We can start right back here. We don't need these export things. We've decided that we're not getting those involved, and I don't think I ever will in the future need to come around and make use of any others, especially not like over here when you have to go a million miles to get here. So let's just plonk this right in the corner. I don't see any particular reason why we shouldn't, apart from to fit the manufacturing stuff in, but this will be fine. This will be fine. We'll just build it in the corner so that we can, like, build the upgraded version in another space that this isn't filling. So we'll just cram this right here. And then the next station we only need 1 of. Drive shaft and undercarriage we need 1. 1. And then undercarriage 1. And then fit fuel tank we need 2. And then the conveyors. Piece of cake. And then we can connect it up to... This should work, actually, because there just so happens to be a gap there. That wasn't even intentional, but it's good that it happened, because otherwise we won't be able to build... Oh, it's doing that thing again. Right, hold on. There. And there. It's... Why? Why is it a... Also, why did that not rebuild? Oh, stupid thing. Just... Why did you do this to me? There we go. Oh, now it's across... It doesn't matter. It functions. It's fine. Everything's fine. Connect up all these... Like so. Don't do that. It's terrible. Just no, go over there. There we go. So that is the entire, like, section for that. But of course, later on, it's going to be, like, 4 times the size, plus manufacturing. There'll still be some room, I guess, but that means we could just expand it more later, maybe, though we run into the export issues again. Unfortunately, but we'll just deal with that. Right, I guess we'll start running the conveyor. Well, we'll leave that for now, and we'll just start doing the next section. So what have we got next? Next we have body, which is a crazy huge section. I'm wondering, should we start it from that end and work this way? That was what I was thinking. Or we could just do it the other way around. Either way, there's going to be a belt running from one end of this factory to the other. Maybe for now I'll just, like, build a basic thing. So let's get this section here. Still making money, I notice, which is good. What's this about? So these massive waves here. What am I spending money on here? And why is it in... Is this rent? It could be rent. I like that it's every other hour and just makes everything go... Actually, it's every 3 hours now. Weird. Right. This takes quite a bit of work, this. Let's close this. Open the body section. And I've just noticed that we're out of time. So I guess we have some time to think about this then. Get rid of that. Quickly, I'm just going to check the manufacturing stuff. Yeah, some of these things are going to need twice as many manufacturing stations as assembly stations, which is going to take up a lot of space, especially seeing as the manufactured stuff seems to quite often be larger scale than the other ones. A lot of them are like just 1x3. These usually take up like a 2x3 footprint with like bits sticking out. It's because they have import and export sections. That's an important part of it. Alright, I think we'll leave it there then. But yeah, next episode we're going to build the body stuff somehow here. It'll get made, and then here we'll do painting. Here we'll do... What was this section going to be? This was going to be accessories, and then this was going to be electronics and something like that. No, that's going to be engine, then this is going to be electronics and accessories. And we might still end up with a bunch of space left. I'm not quite sure. Now that we're seeing like what it looks like, it's a tiny space, but it's going to be significantly bigger later on. We've got a factory and all sorts of other things, like throughput from the import things. Oh no, wow, there's 4 of them here. We're not going to have any issues with import stuff here. I think we'll just build on our assembly stuff here, and then everything else around it will be great. But yeah, let's stop waffling. Next episode, we will continue with this. This is going to take a while to get this whole line set up. By the end, we'll probably start really struggling for money because we'll end up not having enough to, like, not have the production lines operating. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I'm sure it'll turn out fine. We're getting loads of spare money for the moment anyway. So with that, I shall say goodbye. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time.